we're live. Oh, good morning, everyone. I'm Janet Davison, the author of the CBC newsletter, The Fascinator. We've been delving into the royal wedding for the past 6 weeks or so in great anticipation of it, and we're very happy to be here this morning at the Windsor Arms Hotel in downtown Toronto, and very happy to have Alison Eastwood, the editor-in-chief of Hello Canada, here with me this morning. There's an awful lot of anticipation about this wedding.
There really is, and I have to say I love the title of your newsletter, The Fascinator. We should have been wearing fascinators, but we do have the tea.
Yes, we're very, very fortunate to be in this room, and it's a room with a little bit of extra history attached to it too. We were just learning that the second time Richard Burton asked Elizabeth Taylor to marry him, they were at a fireplace just over there. So we're in a place that is very historical, but it's also got somewhat of a tie with Meghan Markle herself, in that some of the scenes from Suits, the cable drama that she was involved with for about 7 seasons, were shot here. So there's a lot of links, the Windsor name, and then the present link with her too. So it's a very good place to be to delve a little more deeply into some of the questions our people will have on the live stream this morning.
Yeah, this is the perfect place to be for a Friday morning just before Royal Wedding Week.
Yes, 8 days to go.
Yes. How many? 7 more sleeps, I think. If we get any sleep, which is
I'm
not always a given.
I'm certainly not counting on very much in the next 7 days or so.
I'm just going to have some of this tea. I ordered the apple mango, so I departed from my Earl Grey tradition.
And I stuck with the Earl Grey tradition, so we'll just have a little...
Cheers, everybody. This is the pop of tea.
This is lovely.
This is really delicious. And it's
well,
red.
I think we've got our first question here from Manuela, and she's asking, what will Miss Markle's correct title be after the wedding? After becoming Mrs. Wales, so to speak. Now, would she actually be Mrs. Wales?
Mrs. Wales. Well, she would technically be Princess Henry of Wales. Hence, the confusion around whether she's a princess or not a princess. Kate is Princess William of Wales, or she could go by that title if she chose. But like William, Harry is expected to receive a dukedom. And
do we have a sense of which dukedom that might be?
Possibly Duke of Sussex, and Meghan would be Duchess of Sussex. But it is not always a given that it's a dukedom. Prince Edward, who is the Queen's youngest son, was made an earl. So the title does tend to get a little lesser
as you go a little lower in the succession.
As you go down the line of succession. And Harry is now, of course, 6th in the line of succession. He just got bumped down by the birth of little baby Louis, Prince William and Kate's third baby, or third child, and Harry couldn't be more happy about that. So he's made that clear on more than one occasion.
Yeah, he's not angling for the top spot.
No, he's not, and I think that people forget this about Harry. They're often judging him by the same standards by which they judge Prince William, but Harry's not a direct heir to the throne, so he has a lot more leeway.
And that's in many ways played into the way we're seeing this wedding evolve, in that it isn't someone who is so close to the top of the succession.
Yes, absolutely. You only have to look at the difference between the expectations surrounding Prince Charles, who is heir to the throne, and Prince Andrew, who was next in line. Of course, they've now changed the rules of primogeniture, the order of succession. So Princess Anne actually would have preceded Prince Andrew under the new rules.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to the title that Meghan will have, we can expect that she might be Meghan, Duchess of Sussex?
We can only hope. That's, yes, I'm not sure what the bookies' odds are. They have bets on everything in the UK, but that it's quite widely expected that she will be Duchess and quite possibly Duchess of Sussex. because that title is up for grabs right now.
And that certainly gets away from that awkwardness of Princess Henry or Princess Harry. Well, they wouldn't say Princess Harry, but Princess Henry. And I think that's one of those things, as you mentioned, that it's sometimes a little difficult for people to take in and understand the way titles work. It's not something particularly here in Canada that we're as familiar with.
Yes, and I think it will be strange for Meghan to go from being Meghan Markle, a brand in and of herself, to Meghan with no last name. She'll be Meghan.
I think in many ways she already is. When you say the word Meghan now, I think everyone instantly knows who you're referring to.
Because people still love to refer to Kate as Kate Middleton, which is not actually correct. But technically their last name would be Mountbatten Windsor.
Which is a bit of a mouthful.
Which is it has a certain ring to it.
It does. It has a very.
I wouldn't mind it. Just saying.
Okay, we have another question from another follower here. Janet Lucas is asking, where will the couple reside after the wedding?
The couple will reside initially at Nottingham Cottage, which is a two-bedroom house on the grounds of Kensington Palace, which is where so many members of the royal family live now. Will and Kate have, a huge house, where they call it an apartment, but it's not really. It has like 20 plus rooms, and what's expected is that Harry and Meghan will be given apartment 1, which is being renovated as we speak, and that will be similar in size and scale to where Kate and William now live with Charlotte and George. Presumably an expectation of more little Harry and Meghans running around. Harrys and Meghans.
And are there any thoughts as far as if they may have a country home?
Oh yes, well, that's the Queen's wedding present to Harry and Meghan. At least that's what we're hearing, is that similar to the way that she gifted William and Kate Anne Hall in Norfolk, she will give them possibly a stately home, but we don't know which one yet. In our new ultimate guide to the royal wedding, we have a lot of different information, and including the fact that she will. Sorry, I'm trying to find that now. I can't talk and read at the same time, so I'm not going to even try to do that. I was going to try to find you a picture of the mansion that might be Meghan's. In this issue, we actually look at, as well as giving you all the details you need for the wedding, we have a piece on all the ways that Meghan's life is going to change. So we have this here, York Cottage, which is apparently being earmarked for Harry and his bride. So I think we can safely say that Meghan's life is going to change quite dramatically. It already has, but just the scope and scale of her life post-marriage and all the expectations around her, it's going to be very different after she says, I will.
Okay, we'll move on. Billy, one of our newsletter readers, has been wondering about the invitees, the people on the guest list. He's saying that while it's not surprising that Donald Trump was not invited to the wedding, the Obamas would have been an obvious choice for several reasons. Was this a decision made to avoid any political controversy? And he's also wondering, were there some Commonwealth leaders that are invited? And what about our own Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau?
This is one of our favorite topics around the office.
Who's going and who will we see going into the chapel?
Yes, because for a long time, many of us were wondering how Harry was going to sidestep around the issue of inviting his great friends, Barack and Michelle Obama, as well as Justin and Sophie Trudeau, with whom he's also very friendly, without inviting the President of the United States of America.
There might be a little diplomatic difficulty there.
So the way that they sidestepped this issue was to actually get government support, and Kensington Palace issued a statement to the effect that there really will be no political leaders at this wedding. So, so with that said, all political leaders off the table. No Justin Trudeau, no Theresa May. No heads of state from around. Heads of state. No presidents or prime ministers from anywhere else in the Commonwealth. But that means that Barack and Michelle had to fall by the wayside because it simply wouldn't be diplomatic.
Do you think they might have a chance to have a time to meet a little right after the wedding? Will there be a visit somewhere along the way?
I'm sure that will happen. I mean, maybe not straight away, but they'll be doing a lot together, I expect.
We've seen a lot of, whether it's charity events or events around particular issues where they get together, or even sitting on the sidelines of the Invictus Games. So I think it's a good possibility that we'll see them together.
They have a great rapport. I mean, you obviously remember the video that Harry and he got his grandmother, the Queen, to participate in a video that was meant to be shading Barack and Michelle, and that was quite something. For I mean, she dotes on Harry, so apparently she'll do anything he asks.
Okay. Well, Mary, one of our newsletter readers, is asking, do we know what kind of flowers Meghan might carry down the aisle?
Well, we know that we know the florist, and again, look, I'm looking for a visual aid here. Hello's all about the visuals. The palace released all of the details of who was doing what at the wedding, the flowers, the cake, the photographer, who's actually a fashion photographer, which is another interesting departure. And here are some examples of the types of flowers that we might be seeing. I'm not just doing this to promote Hello, I just like pictures.
Well, it's great when you can see what it might look like.
So they're being, everything's being created by Philippa Craddock, a self-taught florist who also used to do flowers for Alexander McQueen, which is a sort of nice little...
Getting back to the designer of Kate's dress, or well, the design
6 degrees of separation here. So I have to read this out because I can't memorize like every flora and fauna that will be used at the wedding. But what's interesting is they're going to use a lot of flowers from the Crown Estate and Windsor Great Park, and branches of beech, birch and hornbeam, along with foxgloves and Meghan's favourite, peonies. And the arrangement will also pay tribute to Diana, Princess of Wales, Harry's late mother, because there will be white garden roses, and white being Diana's favourite shade. In Kensington Palace, there's a memorial garden dedicated to Diana.
They did it all in white last year in honor of the 20th
in honor
anniversary.
of Diana, and they were inspired by her famous Elvis dress, actually, when they created that. So that's the flowers, and there's all kinds of other details that they've released as little tasters. Not least the cake. If we want to talk about the cake now, but here at the Windsor Arms,
they have treated us very well.
They've given us a little mini replica of the lemon elderflower cake that Harry and Meghan are departing from tradition by serving their guests at the reception.
So we won't see that multi-tiered fruitcake with the white icing that might stand 9 feet tall that there had been in the past.
It sounds silly, but I mean that was probably left some of the guests a bit disgruntled, because it's very traditional, as we know, to have fruitcake
and to take home
at the wedding, and they won't be able to parcel it up and mail it out to people.
Okay, well, we've got several questions coming in here. Mary, Gail, and Deborah, we certainly see some
Hi.
questions ready to go here. Mary is wondering, oops, we've covered that one, sorry about that. Gail is wondering, who will walk Meghan's mother to her seat? Now, is that a detail that we've actually heard?
We haven't heard who the ushers are going to be yet, but they are expected to be, Prince William is the groom. We are expecting, some of Harry's best mates, like Tom Inskip, who is said to be instrumental behind whatever bachelorette transpires for the prince. A bachelorette, oh my God. Sorry, Harry.
Whatever big party is transpiring
That
for
didn't
him.
come out right at all.
There may have been a bachelorette already.
I'll say
on
he's
the
finding a
others.
bachelorette for Harry. He's supposed to be behind the bachelor party. The ushers will be, Harry's close friends, and possibly his cousin Peter Phillips might be in the mix, but we don't know that yet.
And it's very interesting how Meghan and the organizers of the wedding have tried to ensure that both her parents have a role in the day, because they are divorced, and so there has been a lot of curiosity and speculation about how they would be involved.
Yes, and when Kate married William in 2011, she did that. She followed tradition. Her father, Michael Middleton, rode with her in the car and walked her down the aisle. And in this case, which is a nice sort of microcosm of the whole co-parenting thing, when you're
Modern
separated,
families.
they're splitting up the duties so that her mother will be riding with her in the car, and then she hands the baton to Thomas Markle, who will be walking his daughter down the aisle. Much to people's surprise, actually, there was so much talk about the possibility that he wouldn't appear at the wedding, wouldn't walk her down the aisle, wouldn't want to walk her down the aisle, which is a bit mad, really, because they were very close, and still are, I think, distance notwithstanding. He doted on her. I mean, he used to take her every day to the TV sets where he worked, infamously the set of Married with Children, where she said she essentially grew up 10 years. Every day after school, she would be sitting on the set of Married with Children and exposed to jokes that she probably shouldn't have been exposed to as a preschooler initially. But she loved it, and it's probably what helped fuel her passion for the career that she chose. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a very practical question from Deborah Mundy here, and one that certainly our newsletter readers have been very interested in, and it's just, I would like to know what time the wedding starts in Eastern Standard Time.
I'm glad you said Eastern Standard Time, even though I'm going to be on British Summer Time, because I'll be there next week. So the wedding starts at noon British Summer Time, which means 7 a.m. our time, well, our time being Eastern Standard Time. However, you can expect the guests to begin arriving at least a full hour before that, so you will want to tune in, whether that's at CBC or whether it's at hellomagazine.ca, or you can do both at the same time.
The CBC will be on air with the news special starting at 4 a.m. Eastern
4 a.m.
Time.
That's right. We actually put that in the magazine.
So it's a very early start. So those of you who may be thinking of tea parties or early breakfasts or whatever you might wish early in the morning, there will be someone there to guide us all through what we see happening in Windsor a few hours before.
Those of you who just want to listen to Peter Mansbridge talk, which so many of us do.
Well, he'll be a guest. He'll be a guest. Adrian Arsenault will be hosting.
Oh, Adrian's hosting.
Yeah,
yes, that's
Adrian's
right.
hosting, but Peter will certainly be there as a guest.
And you have Katie Nicholl on as well, the royal biographer.
Yes. So, and then we also have reporters at various locations throughout Windsor throughout the morning, bringing a sense of what is happening in the community.
Sorry, who sent that question?
That was from Deborah Munday.
Yeah. So Deborah, it's worth noting too that the service is much shorter than Will and Kate's wedding. Which it's an hour long, and again, because it's a smaller venue, it'll be a slightly different type of service, and they'll be out of the church by 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then the carriage procession begins. That's only going to last about 20 minutes, I think. And then they'll circle back and they will go to the grounds of Windsor Castle, where they'll be meeting various representatives from the charities that Harry works with, as well. A few lucky young people got actual invitations to the wedding, including Ontario's Faith Dickinson.
Yes,
who
from Peterborough.
Yeah, she got a Diana Award, and she's really excited to be there. But their parents aren't invited. It's just them. But they'll all be together, so they'll have a great time.
Okay, great. Well, Thule, and my apologies if I'm mispronouncing the name, and Lois, both newsletter readers, are asking if Meghan's sister and brother are invited to the wedding. There's been a lot of talk around that too.
Yes, anything that's really printable in Hello. So, I mean, anything that they have said in the press. No,
Her. I know, it's
I need
keeping
more
me
tea.
straight.
Her half-sister Samantha and her brother Thomas Jr. are not expected at the wedding. On the contrary, her sister's writing a tell-all book, and I think she's also going to be a commentator for for a TV network, I think in the US. And Tom Jr. has been out there saying all sorts of stuff, such as his dad wouldn't be invited to the wedding, and
it's a pretty complicated family, and it would perhaps in a way be a surprise to see the step siblings there, given what I mean, I don't think that, and I'm sure he regrets saying, remember when Meghan stayed with the Queen for Christmas,
Harry and the Queen and all of the rest of the royal family at Sandringham for Christmas, which was quite unprecedented. Harry spoke about it when they were outside and said that it was, what was the exact quote? I can't remember.
The family that she never had.
It was the family that she never had. And I'm sure he did not mean it like that
in
at
a way
all.
that it might have been.
I mean,
taken.
He has a huge, supportive, very sort of constant family around him. Meghan has never had that kind of solidity in her life, but her parents were both incredibly loving and attentive, and she was very close to them, particularly her mother, because I think that's who she lived with after the separation. But her dad was very much involved. He would spend weekends with Meghan and then drop her off, and on Sunday nights he would stay and they would all watch Jeopardy together. So I think that the way it came out was probably a bit hurtful to her family and including to her siblings, and we don't know the relationship because almost nothing is known about it, and Meghan does not talk about them.
No, we haven't heard any official or I hesitate to use the word sanctioned, but sources that would be the ones who would tell us exactly straight up what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, they were a lot older when Meghan was born. Doria was Thomas's second wife and quite a bit younger than he was. I think she was working at a temp at the studio, the TV studio where he worked, and there was a big age gap. So I don't think they had that sibling bond that Harry's lucky enough to share with William.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
sorry, that was a really long answer. I'm good at these.
Angela, and I'm going to try to get the name correct here. Shintani Sandroshitz asks, will Meghan still be able to have an acting career, or has she given that up?
she has given that up. And actually, I was thinking yesterday, I'm writing a biography of Harry and Meghan for our special edition, and I was thinking it's a neat parallel that Harry had to give up the career that he loved for the royal family, his military career, and now Meghan is having to give up the career that she loves for the royal family. But that said, you know, she didn't always have an easy time of it as an actress. Acting is a very precarious profession, as everybody knows, and none better than the people who do it. And so I think for her, it's going to be a welcome trade-off.
Okay. Kathleen Reed is asking, are they being married at the same chapel as Diana and Charles were?
No, Harry and Meghan are not being married in the same place as Charles and Diana. Charles and Diana's wedding was monstrously huge, you know, even more so than William and Kate's. It was at St. Paul's Cathedral in London with, I'm not sure exactly how many guests.
One figure I've heard about is 2,500.
2,500 guests, and Will and Kate had about 2,000 at Westminster Abbey. So the scale was very different. It was in London, and they, of course, had the ceremony at St. Paul's where royal watchers could camp out and, you know, wait for their first glimpse of the happy couple, and Diana stepping out of the car in her huge poofy dressed by the Emanuels. It was a little bit creased, but it just, I mean, mind-blowingly gorgeous. Well, to me, watching it in my youth.
A dress of its time.
It was a dress of its time. Sorry, but you didn't ask about the dress. So that was in London, and then, of course, they had the carriage procession to Buckingham Palace, and they had the balcony kiss in front of another, like, million people crowding the Mall at Buckingham Palace. I just called it the Mall. I'm so North American now. But St. George's Chapel is in Windsor, which is about 40 kilometers outside of London. It is at Windsor Castle, which is one of the Queen's beloved homes. And other royals have been married there. Autumn Kelly, the Canadian bride, married Peter Phillips there in 2008. Prince Edward and Sophie also married there. And not to forget, Harry's dad, Prince Charles, he had his wedding blessing with Camilla there in 2005. They had a civil ceremony at Windsor Guildhall, and then they went to the chapel for a bit more fanfare.
Following up, you mentioned the balcony a little bit in the last answer there, but Penny Vermeulen is asking, I've heard that they will not be making a balcony appearance?
That is sadly true, and I'm not going to lie, but at Hello we were a bit disappointed when we heard the venue would be St. George's Chapel, beautiful and historic though it is, because that means that the public and the press only gets really like one opportunity. So
to see them.
To see them. Sorry, I was distracted. They're talking. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, we are expecting them to do the big kiss.
Where do
on
you
the
think
steps
that,
of the church.
Do you think that would be on the steps of the church, or would it be somewhere while they're in the carriage? On
Maybe
the ride?
both, Janet. This is Harry and Meghan.
So
and
there could be a surprise somewhere along the way too.
I hope so. But I also think they may calm down a bit after they're married. Okay. In public, anyway.
Okay, Kathleen Reed is commenting. I truly admire whoever's idea it was to include Diana's sister in this. She was a remarkable woman. What do you think about the way that they have ensured that Diana's family is also part of the celebration?
Well, if anything, we were expecting that Harry, even more than William, would incorporate touches of Diana throughout the wedding. And the first confirmation we had of that was, yes, Diana's middle sister, Lady Jane Fellowes, giving the reading. At William and Kate's wedding, it was Earl Spencer, right, Diana's brother, and I'm sure we all remember that was really emotional.
A very poignant.
A very poignant speech, and Lady Jane keeps quite a low profile, but she was one of the people who traveled with Charles to retrieve Diana's body from Paris after the tragic accident, and is very close to the boys, and it's really lovely to see that, and it will be interesting to hear what she says and how she delivers it.
Okay, Luana is asking, why has Meghan decided not to have a maid of honor?
Well, actually, it's traditional to only have bridesmaids as a royal bride. It was really Kate who broke with tradition by having a maid of honor, which was her sister Pippa, not that anybody needs reminding of that. That was how Pippa Middleton burst into the public consciousnness. Had a lot of guys asking me about her afterwards.
Yeah, there's an image that's very memorable from
yes,
as she walks in.
This is the fun thing of working about Hello too. People seem to think you're personally responsible for these things happening. So I wish that were true. Yes, so the reason, though, stated by Kensington Palace was that she has a very close-knit circle of friends and she did not want to choose between them. We were obviously expecting, if she did have a maid of honor, that it would either be her close friend from college, from Northwestern, Lindsay Jill Roth, or our very own Jessica Mulrooney. Now, Jessica's daughter, Ivy Isabel, is still expected to be in the bridal party, so we're awaiting news on that.
And who else might we see among those young bridesmaids and page boys? Are there other people that are quite likely to be part of that?
I think the only ones that we know, with relative certainty are, well, Prince George and Princess Charlotte. They had their practice run at Pippa's wedding
a year ago, almost.
Yes.
I think it's almost the same weekend.
I just still have those images of Kate trying to wrangle them,
guide them along.
And Kate will be there, but of course she won't be bringing baby Louis because he's very, very young still.
Okay, well, let's see. Angela's asking that for her royal wedding breakfast, when William and Kate got married, she was able to find and print an official copy of the wedding program, and she hasn't been able to do that yet. Will people be able to see the wedding program ahead of time, do you think?
That's a question that I would like answered as well.
Because it was wonderful.
Let's see if our crack research team over there can help us out.
I had seen somewhere that certainly when William and Kate were married, the official program was posted online the morning of the wedding. So that was available ahead of time. And in many ways, some of what we're seeing happen is in keeping with what was done last time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that, perhaps posted the morning of.
Yes, they usually do post the program ahead of time for the public, not before the big day, but as you said, that morning. So we would expect that to be the case with with Harry and whoever. No, Meghan.
Okay, well, our time with you is sadly coming toward its end, but we do have time for one more question. Kathleen Reed is asking, did I hear right that some of Diana's diamonds are in the ring?
That's right. When Harry proposed to Meghan, he gave her a ring with 3 diamonds. The central diamond, square-cut diamond, was sourced from Botswana, which is the country that he loves most in the world, country he went to just after his mother's death, actually, and where he, of course, famously took Meghan. And the other 2 diamonds on either side are from Princess Diana's personal jewelry collection. So again, like a beautiful way of incorporating Diana. William already had the engagement ring. Harry had to go a different route. It's actually supposed to have been Harry
The other way.
who gave William Diana's engagement ring, because it was actually in Harry's possession. So he sacrificed that ring, but he did a very Harry thing, and he decided to give her something that he had designed himself.
Mm-hmm.
And she clearly loved it.
Okay.
Who wouldn't?
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up our time together. Thank you so much, Alison, for being here and
Thanks for having me.
helping us all delve more deeply into all the fascinating elements of the royal wedding. And certainly we hope and invite you to sign up for the Royal Fascinator newsletter. You can do that at cbc.ca/Royal Fascinator. And we'll all be anticipating and watching with great interest on May 19th to see this wedding arrive.
And keep asking your questions.
Absolutely.
We're on
We love
social
to hear
media,
from you.
at Alison Eastwood, at Hello Canada, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, so wherever. We're here.